Hey, in this Tabular Solutions, I'm with Tabular co-founder and head of product Jason Reed, and we're going to look at using Google Colab to access tabular managed iceberg tables. So, Jason, you posted a tantalizing tease on Slack about this. Can you show me what was involved in making this happen?
I absolutely can, and it was almost too easy. So I had the thought, obviously, like Tabular is easy to connect to any Spark environment, and in Google Colab they had a just like a demo notebook of how to install and run PySpark in a Google Colab notebook. And so I
Oh,
figured,
cool.
well, if that's possible, I can definitely run Tabular in there, right?
Yeah, can you send me or Slack me a link to that and I'll
I
add
will.
it?
I will
Awesome.
send you a link to the Google demo notebook. So taking that and getting it to work with Tabular is really just a simple matter of configuring your Spark session to connect to Tabular's REST catalog. That's all the difference you have to change from the demo one that Google gives you. And all the
Hmm.
config you need is actually available in the Tabular UI. So we're just gonna, this is
Oh,
my
nice.
demo environment here. I got this demo warehouse, and I'm going to use the menu, say connect to compute. In this case, I'm using PySpark, even though it's in Google Colab. This will work just fine. So I'm going to connect to Spark.
Okay.
Here was our instructions for doing it locally. I'm going to basically do the same instructions in the Colab environment, or I'm going to download Spark and unzip it there so we can run it
Okay.
from Google Colab. Go ahead and grab that credential, which I'll need to connect. Here's the configuration that I'll need. So I'm going to take all these Spark SQL config, and that's the thing that's going to connect my Colab to Tabular. So I'm going to replicate those in our
Okay.
PySpark session. We'll see that in a second. And then, there's some just example queries that I can run against the example data sets that come in my Tabular warehouse. So I will, just to prove it out, I'm going to run all these queries on the
Nice.
Colab side. So here we go. Here's my Google Colab notebook. Anybody who has
Okay.
a Google Workspace, I think, has access to this. And this is Google hosted notebook, where they actually even run the compute for you. I think you get a fair amount of it just for free, which is cool.
Nice.
So the first thing we got to do is install Spark. So that's similar to what our wizard showed, but here we're actually going to install it in the notebook environment. So this is all, again, was part of their demo notebook. So actually installing Java to actually run the Spark application. And we're going to stop this because we actually need to. So this is going to actually download the latest version of Spark. So Spark 3.4,
Okay.
and zip it into our notebook environment, and then this little helper utility, so that our Python environment can easily find the right Spark runtime.
Okay.
That's standard stuff. And then in order to get Iceberg to work in this environment, we're going to have to grab the Iceberg Spark runtime for Spark 3.4 and the AWS SDK for interacting with S3. So our tabular Iceberg tables are all stored in S3. So that's going to allow us to securely, from this Google Colab notebook, which has no default access to S3, but through Tabular's access control system, we'll be able to read the data. So it's pretty awesome.
That's cool.
So we'll grab these two jars. Should be pretty fast. Done. Okay. And
Good.
now we're set up. So we've got our Spark installed. We've got our Iceberg runtime. We've got the AWS jar installed. Now we're in Python land. We'll just set up our Java and Spark environments. And now
Okay.
we're going to launch our Spark SQL session, or our PySpark session. So this is all that configuration that I grabbed from the wizard earlier. This
Oh
is
yeah,
just
and tabular. Yeah.
our catalog, pointing to Tabular, got my credential. That's what allows me to connect to this warehouse and connect to the demo warehouse that we saw in the Tabular UI. So go ahead and get my PySpark session started. I think the longest of all the things.
Surprisingly.
Oh, not too bad. All right. So now I got my PySpark, and now I can now I have a Spark session connected to my Tabular warehouse. So I can do all the Spark things. I'll just do some Spark SQL here, but you could use PySpark data frames or any other of the Spark code to interact with these tables. So I'm going
Oh,
to use my
nice.
demo catalog. And if I hit show databases here, yep, it was that same set of databases that I saw in my demo warehouse on the tabular side. So that's good. We know we're connected to the right set of stuff.
That's so cool.
Going to use my examples database. Go ahead and describe one of the tables. There's this New York City taxi demo data set that we have. Go ahead and create a table. So just prove that I can read and write to these tables. Again, this is all stored on S3 and all the accesses being federated through Tabular's access control system. So this Colab environment didn't need any special AWS credentials or anything in order to interact with these tables. So that's really cool.
That is wild. So that's going to create a new table to use for the next query there.
That's right. So default taxi tip rate per passenger Spark. So we should be able to see that as well in the tabular UI as soon as that finishes. Now this is running on Google Colab's free tier. So I don't know how much compute power behind this PySpark environment there is. I think you have the ability to get more. Yeah, to get more resources in Colab, but actually I don't even know how to do that. View resources. What do we got here?
How many records are in that file set?
That's a great question. We can answer that quickly in tabular land. Let's go look. Examples. NYC taxi. It was this guy, right? Oh, 124 million rows and 1.6 gigs. So not tiny.
No, not trivial.
taking a little time to pour through. All right, it's done. Took a minute. It's pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
Long lining to S3 and all. And let's go just prove to ourselves that we now have that table create it in the default database. Here it is. Taxi tip rate per passenger Spark. 24 seconds ago. We aggregated this to 9 rows and 3 columns. We didn't write much data, but there it is. You can see that. And we should be able to now query it back and see what the tip percentages are based on passenger count. So apparently, if you're gonna drive taxi, pick up 2 passengers. You get your 22% tip rate. That's the thing to do if you're gonna.
That's the sweet spot.
Uber too. I don't know. And there you go.
That is super simple. That is wild.
Awesome stuff. Right once, query anywhere. Thanks, Sean.
Exactly. All right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time.
Cheers.